Welcome everyone! Welcome to another preview. This is MetalCanyon, and we'll be checking out a game by Pajama Llama Games called Flotsam, a sort of post-apocalyptic, Waterworld-esque city builder that really piqued my interest a while ago. Ever since I first saw the game, I wanted to really check it out because it's pretty much right up my alley. I mean, post-apocalyptic, love that. City building, love that. Management, love that. Colorful, really enjoy that. Waterworld, I kind of enjoy the movie, even though a lot of critics say it was bad. Anyway, let's continue my save game here. And let me show you a little bit about the game. So, just like before, the very first thing you will notice is... Let me actually do this. There we go. Is that, like I said, the game is very, very colorful. Don't mind all the little icons for now. That's fine. That just means that some of these drying racks have nothing on them. There we go. And these water producers or distillers didn't have any firewood in them. So now they do. Yeah, the game is very, very colorful. I actually really enjoy the graphics a lot. Usually, I'll sort of shy away from overly cartoony graphics, but in this case, I really don't mind it because it's just... Whoops. It's just very well done, I feel. Now, there's also a little bit of cell shading going on, I believe, as you can see, around everything. And that's another thing I don't enjoy, strangely enough. But in this game, I really don't mind it because it's so subtle most of the time. You don't really... I mean, it doesn't really detract from the entire look of the game. In fact, it adds to it, I would say. Something like Borderlands and Borderlands 2, for example, that has a little bit too much cell shading for my taste, and I usually just use a mod to remove it completely. Anyway, so this is a post-apocalyptic environment where the world has been flooded, or mostly flooded, because there are little pieces of land here and there that still seem to be above water, and they have the remnants of society, remnants of technology, and so on and so forth. Let me just close these so they won't be showing the exclamation marks all the time. Now, again, remember that this is even pre-early access, just a few days before it does arrive on Steam on the 26th, I believe, when it will be available on Steam on early access. Let me add some firewood over here. So you have to remember that a lot of this stuff might be a little bit buggy, a lot of the stuff might not be available yet, and so on and so forth. So, unfortunately, I cannot really show you much more than this. I wanted to play more, but there seems to be some kind of a game-breaking bug where I cannot save. I can try to save, but the game could not be saved. I don't know what happened, but all of a sudden, it just refuses to save. It saved fine for a few hours, and now it's stuck here. But I'm sure that will get corrected sooner or later, hopefully before early access hits. So, like I said, this is a post-apocalyptic sort of survival city builder where your main currency, or the main idea is to build up a town where your survivors will be able to feed themselves and keep themselves hydrated, and of course have places to sleep. There's just one person sleeping there right now. You might have noticed that it's just a bed floating with a little, you know, cupboard and, well, I mean, a nightstand and a little clock. Like I said, if you zoom in, this is as far as I can zoom in, unfortunately. I think that's due to the fact that if you were to zoom in more, you would start seeing, I don't know, lower polygon models and stuff like that. But, you know, the game looks great as is. I just wish sometimes I could zoom in a little bit more to enjoy everything. You could do it like this, I suppose. There you go. But yeah, a lot of the game is bordering on very cute, but it doesn't go too far, I feel. A lot of the stuff will make you smile, like these floating beds, or sometimes you, instead of getting survivors, you get a seagull, and he's called something, he has a name. Oh yeah, my previous seagull was called... There we go, I went here, and I rescued the seagull, and I believe he was called Even Steven. So Even Steven joined the colony. So your main currency in this game will be food, of which I have 0, and water, of which I have 2. Both of which are at the moment at a very low level because, well, I simply... It's an interesting difficulty. It's not a spike, it's a difficulty curve that goes downwards. As you start the game, you started with quite a bit of water and a bit of food. But of course, those reserves go low very quickly, and then you're suddenly aware that you're constantly on the very edge of 0 water and 0 food, until you get to the relevant technologies, like this solar still, which unfortunately doesn't give a lot of water, but it gives water without actually using people, which these distillers require. And these distillers also require an enormous amount of firewood. So it requires 3 firewood for each 1 unit of fresh water. And to make the firewood, you need to use 1 dry wood, which makes 2 firewood. So you need 1.5 dry wood for each water. And to make matters worse, it takes 40 seconds to make 1 unit of water. Now that might not tell you a lot because you haven't played the game, but it basically means that I feel it's maybe a little bit unbalanced at the beginning of the game because it's just horrendously difficult to get water, and most of the time my people were either starving for food, although food is a lot more easy to get, or they were really, really thirsty most of the time. I have 1 water even though it says 0. I'm not really sure how that works. I think this is like... Not really sure how it works, to be completely honest, because you can also build containers of water, which I haven't bothered with now. You can research containers of water here to store water, but I haven't bothered with those because you have a very limited amount of research points, and creating those, well, this can store, I think, yeah, 60 water, so I'm far from needing a container. So I feel right at the beginning of the game, it's very, very difficult, but... To the game's defense, I've gotten this far on my very first try, and none of my people had died, and they will lose health. Let's see, Sammy Flot here, for example. You can see that his health is going down constantly because he has no food at the moment, and he's about to get really thirsty. But you can see just how fast the thirst goes down. Look at that. 7. It's almost 1% per 2 seconds. It's ludicrously fast. I feel that should be slowed down a little bit. However, unfortunately, I did play this save game for about an hour before realizing I could not save, and I got 2 more solar stills, and I got a cooking station as well to cook my food, because drying food like this, drying these fish, only gives you half a nutritional value from each fish, which is not very good. So basically you're wasting half of each fish, and if you cook them you get 1 nutritional value for each fish, which is a lot better. But right now I don't have the metal scrap available to create the cooking station. I will need to actually move my entire town next to the next area. And yes, you do that by using these giant sails over here, which basically drag your entire town right now, non-visually, unfortunately, and they drag it to the next location. So each of these maps is this giant circle, as you can see. You cannot go past this, but each of these has a number of these areas of flotsam, areas of plastic. They also have these pretty cool looking whales, which look very much different to what whales we know today. So I'm assuming it's quite a while after the apocalypse? I don't know. Or maybe it's just a different world. Or maybe it's some kind of a weird mutation. But anyway, you've got plastic and wood, which are your, you know, basic building materials. What are you doing? What's happening? Oh my... Oh wow, look at that. He actually turned his boat around. That's definitely a bug. I have never seen that happen before, and that's not really supposed to happen. There we go. Look, I helped him. I helped him. Oh, that was funny. He's probably going to die from lack of No, he's going to be fine. So he's gotten 10 wet wood, as you can see. That's another thing I really enjoy about this game. Everything is very visual. So if he's going to pick like 5 wood and 3 plastic and 2 scrap metal, you're actually going to see that on there. it's not just going to be a random, you know, a random amount of models on there. It's going to be exactly what he picked. You can also see if these, oh yeah, wait, these things don't show you how much firewood they have. That's odd. Anyway, yeah, a lot of this stuff is visual. You'll see the fish on the drying racks. You'll see the wood on the drying racks because, of course, wet wood has to be dried first to make this white-looking dry wood, which is then usable to build firewood from, or make firewood from, and make buildings from, and so on and so forth. So these are your basic resources. The scrap metal is something you cannot usually find. You have to scavenge for on islands, and it's a much more valuable resource because some of the more advanced buildings later on will also use that. You might have noticed these turned off light bulbs. This is a bit of a bug here because I was creating the walkway, and when you create, oh, I don't have enough plastics. When you're creating walkways, you can create them up to a certain point for 8 plastics, and then immediately it switches over to 16 plastics for the next part. And it doesn't matter if the next part is tiny. So what happened was I was trying to do it 8 plastics worth long, and I just moved my mouse slightly and it made it 16 worth. So I said, no, cancel that. And I think I might have broken the game with that because, yeah, I cannot even salvage this now. It's just sort of on top of each other and it's stuck. So never mind. It doesn't really matter. It's not like I wanted to place many buildings over here because this is my mooring points here. So I now have 2 food. We could just go to the next area because I cannot save anyway. I'm going to research the fish kebab here, which will allow me to export cooked fish, which do have a nutritional value of 1. But they do require 14 metal scraps, which is going to be something we can do later on. So I'm going to unlock that, even though I would really like to unlock the desalinator. But of course, that requires screws and plastic tubes, which means that we would need to create the scrap smith as well, which, you know, makes that out of scrap metal. And of course, it costs a lot itself to create, and it costs a lot of research points. You get research points by visiting some of these ruins. Now, some of these will have research points, but only a few usually. I've gotten some water over here, by the way. You can also get survivors. So let me see what happens if my people are still out fishing. There's a fishing boat somewhere. There it is. So what happens if I just move now? I've never tried that before. So let's go to Even Steven here. So in order to move to the next area, you see here we only need sails, and over here we need actual fuel. Not really sure how that works. There weren't any machines that required fuel so far, but I'm assuming these sails over here also have some sort of engines, I guess. So if there's not enough wind, you can use fuel to actually move your town. So it's a pretty interesting. Oh, look at that! Lots of plastics right here. Let's get that. It's a pretty interesting concept of how this is done. I don't mind it at all. So like I said before, each of these maps gives you a big circle like this, where you can gather whatever you want and also salvage and scavenge in these locations. They're above water, but of course they are very limited in what they have. This one has 25 raw seaweed, which I cannot do anything with. But there's also this viaduct here, which will have 32 metal scrap, which is excellent. And the last one should probably have some research points. Where is it? Oh, there's Stepan now this time. No, there's no research points here, unfortunately. There's only going to be the seagull, which we will rescue. And there he is. Look at him. Oh, he's so cute. Oh, do you hear him? Look at him. Oh. And he eats less. Nice. Because, of course, he also needs to be fed. The nice thing about the seagull is that while it does require a bed right now to rest, it also flies, of course. And it can only carry one thing at a time, unlike your people, which I think can carry like 4 or 5 things at a time in their little barrels. But let's make some more firewood. But There's the plastics, by the way. But the seagull can fly, so he's pretty good for these random jobs, for the solar stills, for example, where they will have some water available, and he'll just fly over there, pick up the 1 unit of water, which unfortunately the solar still only produces, and, you know, bring it over to one of these storages. Of course, here's my storage, which is about halfway full. So there we go. So we've got some plastics over here we're getting, which is very good because we'll be able to create that, well, more of a road here, for example. See, 16 and 18. I also love the sound effect. That's another thing I really enjoy with this game, by the way. Let's do this. 16. Sound effects and the soundtrack. Pretty much the entire audio part about this game is absolutely brilliant. The sound effects are great. You've got the sounds of the ocean, the sounds of people working, the sounds of people walking, the sounds of these stills working, and so on and so forth. And also, the soundtrack is very, very nice. Right now, there's just a bit of really calm ambience going on. Oh yeah, I need to place down the buoys where the fish are, so these guys can go start fishing. Because without the buoys to tell them where they can fish and where they can scavenge, they won't be able to do anything. So you need to actually tell them to do so. And these fish look pretty cool. Look at that. That's cool. The only thing that doesn't happen right now is as they fish these, there's usually 25 per school available. The school doesn't appear visually smaller, which is a bit of a shame, but I'm sure they're going to add something like that. So, whenever there's a person available, they'll go out and scavenge, or they will go out and fish. Right now, someone is making the roadway here, or walkway. And soon enough, I will actually remove this marker, so when they're done emptying this salvaging boat, I will go and get this scrap metal here. I'll click salvage, and the next time someone goes out to salvage with the boat, they will go and salvage that. I can also, of course, make more parking or mooring points for the boats and make more boats, which is a very good thing to do. So I'm going to make a rope, which is required for the mooring point, and I'm going to make that mooring point. But of course, I will also need resources to make the fish kebab. So I need 14 scrap metal, 4 dry wood, and 6 plastics, which is not very much, so that's pretty good. Apart from the scrap metal, of course. So he's going to the viaduct over here, and he's going to be salvaging, or she's going to be salvaging, the scrap metal. So your survivors, there we go, off she goes. See how visual this is? She actually takes apart the cars. I think that's really super cool. Look at that. So yeah, she can carry 5 things at a time. And there she's putting the scrap metal into her boat. I think that's pretty awesome. Also, the animations are actually really nice, I think, for a little game like this. Look at that. I just find that a really, really nice touch when it's so visual. I think the boat can carry, what, 10? Come on. Yeah, 10 things. So each of your survivors has some stats, like their health, which will go down if they're starving or dehydrated. And obviously they've got the hunger, so they need to eat. They've got the thirst, so they need to drink. And they have rest, which means that they also need to have their little bed. Because unfortunately the survivors don't share beds. They will want one for their own. Even if, you know, most of these beds are empty right now, they'll still want one of their own that belongs to them. So now that they will take the... Oh, they've already taken the scrap. There we go. They're putting it into the storage. And as soon as I have enough scrap, I can make that grill. I can also make a mooring point for another boat over here, which will increase my salvaging or fishing abilities depending on which boat I build, either a salvaging or a fishing one. But of course, you know, you cannot just build 10 boats and expect people to use them all, because, well, someone will have to be working the stills, someone will have to be, I don't know, making more... Oops, not that, no. Someone will have to be making more firewood for the stills and, of course, for the grill as well. Someone will have to be carrying stuff from the storages to the drying racks, and so on and so forth. So there's a lot of stuff to do in your town at all times. And as you play, you will start to understand just how much workload there is and how much you can actually do. So he's come back. Oh, there's some fish. So there we go. Do we want more fishing boats or do we want more salvaging boats? I think for now we'll build another fishing boat here. And despite the fact that I could only build it over here because this one is taken and this one, the guy is coming back right now, I believe. The boats can actually land at any empty point. So for example, this salvaging boat could easily moor at this mooring point if it was empty. It's not a problem. You know, the fishing boat could go over there. So that's pretty cool. So there we go. Now we've got more scrap metal here. And I will be able to build the fish kebab. So, I mean, all in all, I have had so much fun with this game, despite the fact that it's even pre-early access. It feels good, it sounds good, it plays well. It maybe stutters a little bit every now and then, which is probably a lot more obvious now when I'm recording, but of course some games don't like to be recorded. So it will need a little bit of optimization. There we go. It stutters every now and then. But it's just so much fun, and I was really, really disappointed when the game decided not to save my games anymore. You know, but that's to be expected. It's some kind of a bug. It'll be found out and corrected. But it was just really disappointing because I was like, no, but I want to play more. I want to see what else is over there. I mean, look. So right now, there's a few different options. You can go to shack towns, which will usually have research points and scrap metal and such. You can go to these places, which will have extra survivors you can get, and also some raw materials. And you can also get to these leaking water towers, which will have some resources, but especially fresh water, which is obviously very nice. And like I said, for some of these you need oil to travel, and some of these you need just wind to travel. You do have a limited amount. We only have 2 left now because we've used 1 oil. But these factory ruins usually do have oil for you to use. So I could just go over here, get some water, go over here, get some probably scrap metal and such, and use 0 oil. So that's pretty cool. But of course, I would also maybe want survivors sometimes, but I cannot get to these anymore, because you can only go to where the arrows are pointing. So that's pretty interesting. I'm wondering if there's going to be anything more on these, because right now, at this point, this would only be endless survival. Build up your town, go to the next area, get more resources, get more research points, and so on and so forth. And there's nothing wrong with that. I would be completely happy with that, because it's just so colorful, nice, and I don't know, I just like it. But I do think that they'll probably want to make some other things available, like, I don't know, possibly pirate attacks of some sort, you know, like in Waterworld. Different types of scavenging, maybe some kind of a storyline. I have no idea. But like I said, personally, I would be fine with just a city builder, because I really do enjoy stuff like that. Also, one thing I didn't really mention, but it's probably obvious. Oh yeah, we can build the shish kebab now. Let's do that here. These roadways are important, just like in a city builder, where it's important, like in City Skylines, for example, where it's important how you build your... Oh, look at that. It just needs 16 for that. That's annoying. Where it's important how you build your roads, it's also important how you build your walkways here, because sometimes people will want to go straight from the distillery maybe to over here or something, or you'll build some more buildings here, and you will want a connection over here. Otherwise, they will find out that, hey, it's faster if I just swim over here to the other side than to go all the way over here. Now, there's no downsides to swimming to the people, apart from the fact that it's a little bit slower than actually using the walkways. So, you know, it does pay to pay the 16 plastics over here, which you can scavenge anyway, and build another walkway there. So there's my extra fishing boat. Now, when people are available, they will go and fish with the other one as well. I have both of them here. So yeah, this game is coming out very soon now. like I said, at the same time, I wish I could show you more, but I cannot because I cannot save the game, and I would have to play for hours to get somewhere and then lose all my progress. But on the other hand, I also don't want to spoil too much. This is the current research list, and I don't think there's anything else available. But it's pretty interesting already, and I'm pretty sure they will be expanding this list as the game progresses through early access on Steam. Everybody's hungry and everybody's thirsty because they have 0 things. This is the place where I started building more solar stills, getting a lot more wood to get both of these distillers working and so on. But yeah, if I had any complaints about this game right now is... Well, one, it should be a little bit more optimized, but of course this is still even pretty early access. But mostly I think water, even though the point of the game is survival, so I guess getting fresh water should be a little bit more difficult. But it just feels like these distillers are horrible at what they do. They make, like I said, they make 1 unit of water in 40 seconds, which is a bloody lifetime, and it uses 3 fuel for each unit. It's insane. Plus, it needs someone to operate them at all times if you actually want to create water. So that's that. Anyway, over here we'll create the fish kebab, which means that I will change all these drying racks to wood because we don't want to dry fish anymore. We want to cook them. And as soon as that's done, let's speed things up. As soon as this is done, the building is also visual, by the way. The buildings get built in sections, which is pretty good, pretty cool. All right, and I will do that unlimited amount of times. So every time there is fuel available, which it is, it does come pre-fueled, and there's fish available. Do I have any raw fish? No, I don't. Oh no, that's dried fish. I don't have any fish available at all, so people need to go out and fish, and then they will be able to grill some. So both of my fishing boats are going out right now. Now I could select one of these buoys and say you can have 2 boats over here fishing, but I don't want that. There's just 1 fish available here. No, go to some other point. You can also select all your buoys here. Oh yeah, I need to start scavenging. Are they still? There we go. I was just about to ask if they were done, and they're just done with this. How much? 2. Okay. Well, now they can start scavenging wood. We really need more wood. There. Scavenge all that, and then we'll scavenge more wood over here, and then also more plastics and so on. There you go. So, all in all, this is a... Oh, there's fuel. It's telling us about fuel. Oh yeah, we already know that. This is a extremely cute, much more sort of upbeat take on the post-apocalyptic survival genre. It's not a, oh, it's gloom and doom, we're all doomed, we have to survive somehow. It's very upbeat. The survivors don't even have a happiness stat. I don't know if I would like that or not. At the same time, it's kind of liberating not to have to worry about that, but I think it would be pretty cool to have a happiness stat as well and have some happiness buildings. The only thing that I see is that they don't have a lot of free time as is, because they need to work, catch fish, get stuff, and so on and so forth. So that would take even more time away from them. I could just tell them to swim over here and get these plastics, by the way. There we go. Now they're actually grilling the fish, so we're gonna get a lot more food out of our catch, which is good. But yeah, this is such a fun little game, and I cannot wait to see where else the developers take it. If you like city builder games, this will definitely get my MetalCanyon's seal of approval. Because despite the fact that it's going to be in early access in a few days only, I already think it's a lot of fun. They just need to work out the kinks right now, especially the save game bug, which I'm not sure if it's just a singular event or if that's something that's reproducible. But anyway, thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this little preview of Flotsam, and I will see you in another preview. All the relevant links are down below, and you can also check out my Patreon to support my channel if you wish. Thank Thanks, and bye-bye.